My name is Joseph Murad. I'm the co-founder of Bionate and CEO. We are a digital health company providing online consultations to clients. It all starts in the story of over 4 billion people lacking access to basic health care in the world, and this includes primary care as well. And there are mainly two things that causes this. It is the affordability of care and also the accessibility of care. And the reason why healthcare is not accessible is unfortunately because there is a lack of health professionals out there. We do not have enough doctors to tend to patients, and the doctors that are available, they are unfortunately too pricey for most people. And that's really where Bionate comes in, that through digital innovation, make healthcare more accessible, make it more affordable, and ultimately make it more equal so everybody can access the service. Researching to why and how we're supposed to solve this, once again, it all started in the problem, right? And how do we solve the issue of accessibility and affordability? And then one of the solutions is, of course, to look beyond how can we automate processes so doctors don't have to tend to everything, let's say in a hospital setting. And secondly, are there things that we can do that can be done online, for example? And of course, for the second part, how do you do this online? Well, simply create an application, for example, because most people now have phones or smartphones, so they can interact with the doctor online. This removes the problem of the logistics, going to a hospital, because that is a big issue by itself, not sitting in queue, waiting for hours. And the second part is then also what we developed in the app is something called a symptom checker. And the symptom checker is basically an automated way for a patient to check their symptoms. So they input their symptoms in the app, and then it asks you questions, and by the end of it, it also provides you suggestions of what type of diseases you might have. So instead of Googling, you do this in the app that we've researched now for nearly 5 years, and doctors have been involved in developing this to then provide this service that is completely free of checking your symptoms within the application as well. We both have a process where you can select your doctor, a specific doctor you want to talk to, and book a specific time slot. And as you're saying, there is a pool of doctors that we have available that you can choose from, specialists and GPs, general practitioners. However, if you want a quick consultation, you can get one within 5 to 10 minutes, and then we just match you with the first available doctor in the application. So it is up to the patient in the end, what they would like. So the patients can access doctors via 2 different ways, which is video consultation as well as text consultation, so you can talk, which is a little bit more anonymous, right? You don't have to show your face and talk to the doctor. And the great thing about it is also we understand that not everything can be provided online. We also need to do some physical tests or examinations, lab tests. Around 40% of our users need some kind of a follow-up. And what we do then is that we also provide home collection of lab tests. We do at your home. You can also go to the facility, and we have all these partners we're working with to complete the entire, you could say, diagnostic journey for the patient. Of course, you have to both prove that you are a platform that you can trust, because healthcare is all about trust in the end, and that you're talking to a doctor on the other side. And the way we establish that is, I think, mainly through 2 different ways. The first one is that we offer this symptom checker in the app, right? Because even though maybe you don't want to pay for a consultation right away, you just want to test it, see how it works. So we gain the trust of the user by doing the symptom checkup as a start, right? Because it is free to use. And secondly, the important part is that we always make sure to follow up on each and every case that we provide, right? Which means that the diagnosis is not necessarily done in the first consultation. You need follow-ups. As I said, you need physical follow-up as well. And we take care of each and every one individually. And this is very different to how you do it, let's say in a hospital setting where you're just sitting in a queue and waiting, right? Here, you're tended to in a completely different way. It's very personalized. You're talking to your own doctor that you can keep following up with, and also in a very affordable way as well. And I think that has created at least a reputation around Bionate that it is a service that you can trust. And we're also working with partners, for example, such as Jubilee Insurance and insurance companies. So we have other brands working with us to create that trust for the product. I would say it's very simple, since it's supply and demand, right? You just have to make sure that your pool of doctors, that you have enough doctors to meet the demands of the patients. And currently we've grown fairly quickly. I would say we launched late December 2020, and we have nearly 300,000 users in Kenya. And it really shows that there is a need for the product. And what we do is we then look at how long is each and every patient waiting. And our goal is 5 to 10 minutes. And then we just keep increasing the doctor pool and the number of doctors available so you can get that convenience and immediate access to a doctor. So the vision is that for the next couple of years, we are a software company in the end, right? We provide a digital service, and this means that we can scale up fairly quickly. And we see this problem of accessibility and affordability to healthcare, not only in Kenya, in many other countries in Africa, of course, and a lot of other regions in the world. So our goal right now is, of course, to scale to other markets in East Africa, South Africa, West Africa as well, so they can gain access to this service that is affordable and accessible, and potentially even beyond Africa in the future. But first and foremost, focusing is sort of on a Pan-African solution for healthcare. So in regards to capital and fundraising for a company, that is always a challenge, I think, no matter what industry it is. But creating a product like this, where it's very heavy in technology, requires a lot of investment initially to finish the actual product. We spent nearly 3 years on the actual technology before launching it in the market. So of course, we had angel investors, we had venture firms that have now joined into the company as well and supporting. And it's always a very tricky journey, but in the end, it's just about patience. And if you have a very solid model and idea, the investors will come, and it will be easier to fundraise as long as you're very, say, crisp and clear in what it is you're going to offer. Initially, I think, as a lot of people feel like when they're growing up, is there's a lot of pressure in academia and getting an education, and that's similar to what I did. I became a medical doctor, and I worked as a doctor for a couple of years. But I also realized that that's really where I got in touch of the problems in healthcare, and where I really started to seeing digital innovation and technology as a solution for a lot of the problems in healthcare. And that's really how I came into the startup world and starting a company. That wasn't sort of a dream in the first place to become an entrepreneur. It kind of came naturally along the way, and that we can bring a lot of impact with this type of solution. Building a team is always an interesting question. I think ultimately it's all about the vision you set up for the company. If you have a very clear vision and mission, then you're also going to get team members and coworkers who believe in that. And that's ultimately how you build the team, right? If you communicate that idea very well, you're also going to get team members who are very passionate about what you're doing. And the journey, I'm not going to say is going to be easy, but it's easier. And I mean, as most companies, we started out with a few people and started recruiting and seeing people who could fit into the environment. And one really important lesson that I think I've learned and the team has learned is always try to look for people that you admire. Because if you admire them, you will learn things from them, they will criticize you, and you will also, with that kind of thinking within the team, come much further and much faster. So yeah, that's how we started. So the name Bionate, it actually comes from the Latin word bion. So the Latin word bion means the smallest living thing, which is a cell. And the 8 is actually, if you can see in the logo, it's actually an infinity sign. So it basically means life forever. And that is where the name came from. I think at least for us as co-founders, and I mean, I co-founded this company with my brother, and it kind of comes natural to you depending on what you want to do in the end. And since we were passionate about doing something in healthcare, we spent months and months, thinking about the name. Well, what should it be? How should the logo look like? And of course, the logo has changed over time and gone through iterations. But with the name, I think that was kind of never an issue for us. I think in the end, it relates to what is it you're truly passionate about. And for us as a team, it's about making people live long and healthy lives. And that's really where the brand kind of comes from in the end. It's about extending your life, making you live a long and healthy life, and sort of where it all came from in the first place. We decided Kenya is such an amazing country in many ways. It has this, you could say, digital literacy and adoption among people, that they really want to use new things, learn new things. If there is something that can create convenience or something that maybe is more affordable or creates value, then they go for it, right? And it has smartphones, mobiles, it has internet, it has you could say the foundation to try to make a solution like this work. Because of course it doesn't work in every country in the end, right? But I think, as I said, like the digital literacy within Kenya really sets a good foundation for telehealth and online consultation. Well, I mean, naturally, the online consultation it's online by nature, right? So if you want to talk to a doctor live, you need some type of connection, either by a phone or something. And how we're trying to solve the issue of people, for example, not having smartphones or not having internet, is we're starting to partner with NGOs. So we can offer, for example, tablets to their clinical centers. So when they go to the clinical center, they can talk to a doctor, even though they might not have a doctor within that specific clinical center itself. And that way also reach out to the rural areas, because removing the online component is very difficult because you don't have that live interaction, but at least to the extent that we can offer this through clinical centers around the country that you can go to. Currently, wherever you are in Kenya, you can talk to us. yes. There's no geographical limit to our services at the moment. There's always questions, not only that you ask yourself, but from investors and external parties when there is family running, and there could be conflicts of interest, of course. So far, I think we've had a very good relationship in running a business. I think for us, it is relatively easy because we complement each other in many ways. So the things where I might lack knowledge, he can come and kind of support me there, and the other way around. So if you have a relationship where you complement each other, I don't think it's necessarily difficult. The other way around is actually strengthens you. And we even founded the company with our father, so we were 3 co-founders to start with, and we each had our area that we excelled in and ultimately helped each other in as well. We think culture is not something you can force into a company because it is all about finding the right people, and that is also coming back to, if you set up a clear vision and a mission for what you're going to do, you're also going to find people who are passionate about that. And in a lot of the cases, they are going to share similar values to what you have. And of course, ultimately that builds the initial foundation for the company. For us, of course, setting clear values in the company is also very important. We have 3 core values. We have equality, trust, and visionary. We truly believe, especially in equality in a company and treating each other equally, as well as treating our clients equally. We're all about providing equal healthcare, right? And that needs to live in the company and the environment itself. But it comes naturally, I think, with the vision when you put that up. We've been in this for a couple of years, and there is always, I think, there's always going to be difficult decisions to be made, and you just have to get used to it, to be honest, and feel like this is a part of the journey. Everything from changing your business model to maybe firing someone or doing something else, like all of these are a part of the journey, right? And the key thing to, I think, at least in my perspective, to deal with these are patience, and just be patient, and ultimately if you make the right decision, you will also see the results coming from them. I always think, or we think that you should always negotiate things. There's always a solution to something. However, something in the business being non-negotiable is what we are working for and our vision. And our vision is to make people live long and healthy lives. As long as we're working with that, we're doing the right thing. I'm going to be motivated, the team is going to be motivated, and we can see where we're moving. If that changes, that's going to be very difficult. So I would say the vision itself is definitely a non-negotiable thing. To start with, or at least in regards to where I come from and where I've worked and within the healthcare environment and so on, is that academia was always key to everything, education and so on. But the more and more I've worked in this company, the more and more we've had team members with different backgrounds, from people with education to people with no education. There's really a clear thing that, whatever you want to do, if you're passionate enough about it, you can do it. I had 0 education in business. I still have a lot to learn in business, and there's the other way around for other people in the company. So is that it's a very cliche thing to say, but as long as you're passionate about something, it's possible. So our success story so far, I think, has very much been in that people are showing interest. As I said, we have over 250,000 users. They're showing interest in the app, in the solutions that we offer, in online consultations, and ultimately with our goal of proving that there is a need for this, as well as this can make healthcare more accessible, this can make healthcare more affordable. Because all of a sudden we're seeing people from different backgrounds, no matter your social or economical background, you can access healthcare. And that's the equality part of it. And I think we're all very proud that we've started that journey and we're showing that this is something that's needed. As to where we're going next, it's a very scalable solution. It can activate doctors in markets where, so maybe on a side note is to mention that there's a lot of doctors, unfortunately, that are unemployed in markets where healthcare is not accessible. And this can also employ and make healthcare more accessible in these markets. And that's really what it is about. It is to scale this up country to country and make healthcare in the end a right and not a privilege. So as for the services we provide, there are two different services, right? You have the symptom checker that is completely free to use, and then you have the online consultations with doctors. And with doctors, of course, it varies in price depending on who you talk to. So if it's a specialist, a little bit more expensive. If it's a GP, it starts at $395 bob. So it is at a relatively affordable level. And also, if you have an insurance scheme, you can register your insurance details, and then you can also access the consultations for free with the partners that we work with. And we're trying to work with stakeholders in the country. So potentially in the future, even a national health insurance cover and so on can be included, so you can access these services without necessarily paying out of pocket as a user. So generally, within the application when you're using it, there is a lot of value for you. Number one is, of course, you talk to a doctor online. Number two, you can do the symptom checkup for free and check yourself wherever you want. But there are benefits beyond that. We also have that you can store your medical history in one place. So, you know, whenever you go to a doctor, you always have your medical history with you. I think we all can relate to going to a doctor and forgetting things and diseases and stuff and symptoms. So all of that is within the application. And the other thing is, of course, also that we have an educative section. You can read about diseases, you can read about news articles, blogs, and so on that we include in the application. So to stay up to date regarding everything within healthcare as well. So think of it as the platform more of a digital outpatient center for you, where you can access anything that you would need in an outpatient setting. That's really how we're trying to position ourselves as well as an application. We have to face the inconvenient truth that we won't have enough doctors to deal with the patients that we have. It's just the way it is, because the lack of doctors we have, the accessibility issue, it increases every single year. So how do we solve that? And mainly that is through digital innovation. It is to perhaps automate parts of the processes. For example, what we're doing with the symptom checker. So we can empower the patient to take care of themselves, to check, to see what do I have, and also to become more informed, educate themselves about their body, what do I need to do to stay healthy. Because also one of the issues in healthcare is you're always waiting until you get sick, right? So what happens in there between is that's a huge, huge timeline for anyone to do something about their health. Whether it is exercise, whether it is to eat better, whether it is to keep track of what you have, and to enable and empower someone to keep track of that. That's really where I see healthcare moving forward to become more preventive. And that's also where we're going as a company, because with the symptom checker and everything we have, ultimately, we don't want you to get so sick that you actually need to talk to a doctor. We want you to stay as healthy as possible to not actually go there in the first place. If we can move there, and the healthcare industry as a unit, then I think we'll be in a very good place where people will be healthy and ultimately live longer lives without diseases. Besides Kenya, there are many countries that share similar problems, right? But we're looking at South Africa, we're looking at Nigeria, we're looking at Ghana, potentially even Ethiopia and Tanzania. Share very similar infrastructures, similar problems, and I think the value of the application and service could serve just as well in those markets as it does in Kenya.